Hi everyone, welcome back to Tobacco Talk Tuesdays. Caitlin here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about our top 5 tips for socializing when you're trying to reduce or quit your tobacco use, or even if you recently quit and you're trying to maintain. So I'm talking about this for a couple of reasons today. One being social triggers. So understanding them, knowing how to combat them is really important. And specifically right now, it's really important because we're seeing a lot of changes to COVID-19 related regulations and restrictions, seeing them be altered, seeing them be lifted. And this might lead to an increase in social situations that someone has to now navigate, which if they've either quit or started trying to reduce or anything like that during COVID-19, it's not something they've had to deal with previously. As always, questions, comments anytime during the live stream, and I will answer them definitely before I sign off. You can also check out those comments below for additional resources related to this video topic, including more information about our upcoming virtual group that's dealing with a very similar topic. And we'll go ahead and get started. So our number one tip is perhaps the most obvious tip: talk to your people. Let them know about your efforts. Let them know about what's been helpful, about what's been challenging lately, and ask if they're willing to support you and discuss ways that they might be able to be helpful. So this might be, talking about the fact that you have to avoid certain places, asking your loved ones not to smoke or use other tobacco products around you, asking them not to offer you tobacco products if that's something that they normally do, and kind of starting to set some of those clear-cut boundaries. Number 2, spend time in tobacco-free settings. So I think when we think about tobacco-free settings, often we think about restaurants, libraries, movie theaters, things that, maybe we're not frequenting quite as much lately, and maybe some of us aren't really still comfortable with going to them very often. So, kind of think about some other ones that might be a good option, like outdoor settings where it's also really not allowed to smoke. So smoke-free parks, or maybe restaurants that have outdoor seating, coffee shops that have outdoor seating, things like that where you can spend time and know that you're not allowed to smoke there. Your home would also be another good option. And with this one, it's really important to set clear boundaries, probably before you have anyone over, so they know what to expect and you know what to expect out of them as well, and that you don't want them either using tobacco in your house, on your porch, in your driveway, your backyard, any other outdoor space you have, however you would decide to set it up, being really open and honest about that. And then just look for other places that you enjoy spending time there where you don't usually smoke. So if you primarily smoke when you're out with friends at a bar or at someone's house in particular, see if you can find somewhere else that you can spend time that you enjoy that you're not usually smoking at. Number 3, know your triggers and have a plan. So primarily we're talking about social triggers today. And so social triggers to smoke include certain people, places, or even events. So looking to see if you can plan around them, if you can avoid them sometimes altogether, or just change up the usual routine. And even though we're kind of focusing on the social today, it's still important to take note of other triggers such as emotional triggers, habitual or pattern-based triggers, or withdrawal-based triggers and cravings. Keeping items on hand that might be helpful for this, like stress balls, fidget toys, gum, water, snacks, having go-to coping strategies like talking yourself through it, grounding techniques like deep breathing, or even just keeping yourself distracted or having a set plan to keep yourself busy is still really important to have on hand. That way you can still counter those as they appear. Number 4, don't pressure others to quit, but do be encouraging or supportive, or both. This is going to sound a little weird coming from a tobacco treatment specialist, but telling people to quit tobacco does not work. It's never really worked. If it did work, we'd have a lot fewer people who use tobacco products still probably, and it'd be a lot easier for people to quit. On top of this, it can really just come off as rude or even judgmental, and that might make relationships a little bit awkward, which is probably something you don't want. Instead, focus on being supportive or open about tobacco use. So you can always ask someone, if they've ever thought about quitting or reducing, or if they maybe want to talk about it sometime. And that way you're opening a conversation where they know that you're open to talking to them about this, and you can maybe offer support or resources or tips even when and if they're ready to receive them. And number 5, our last tip for this live stream, stay distant for now. Sometimes this is better. Not everyone is always going to be supportive or helpful right away, or maybe even ever, and that can be tough. But it's okay to put some space between yourself and others as you learn to navigate quitting, reducing, or being quit, and coping with cravings or triggers. It doesn't mean it's forever. It might just be for a month, a couple weeks, however long you decide you need to get a hold of cravings, triggers, or anything else that's been causing you issues as you navigate your tobacco journey. Social support is something we talk about often when it comes to tobacco reduction, and how important it is to have someone in your corner to celebrate with, maybe to hold you accountable, to get resources with, or even just to talk things out with. And that means having conversations with those you're close with about what you might need as you navigate your tobacco reduction journey. It's okay to put some distance between yourself and between certain people or places while you're still trying to figure out how to successfully get through moments where you would typically use tobacco. Just want to say before we sign off, now is the time to put any questions or comments down in the comments below. Make sure you check those out. For an additional website, I linked with an article talking about more tips for navigating social situations as you try to quit or reduce your tobacco use. I'm also going to be putting more information about our virtual group next week in the comments as well, so you can check that out if you're interested in more information. Tobacco Talk Tuesdays will continue every second Tuesday of the month here on Facebook and YouTube at 2 o'clock. And as always, please feel free to reach out to our tobacco team with topics you might like to see, whether it be here on the live stream, on our blog, on a video series. If we're working on anything new, we want to know what you want to hear about from us. The Unified Tobacco team is growing, expanding, changing, doing new things, and regardless of all of that, we're always here to support, to answer questions, and to provide additional resources. So reach out to us at the numbers on your screen. And let me just check. No questions or comments today, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.